Okay, getting into the good stuff right out the gate. King Sombra. Where do I even start with this guy? He is without a doubt the most underrated villain in MLP, yet probably the most dangerous one. I guess we have to start at the beginning. King Sombra was the ruler of the Crystal Empire, a tyrant that took control over the place 1,000 years ago. Give or take a century or two, since this was obviously before Luna's transformation into Nightmare Moon and subsequent banishment. He's often overlooked because he is a very different villain from what we normally get in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which has caused him to become a joke to a good deal of people I've spoken to on the subject. From what I can gather, there are two big gripes the other fans have with him: his limited speaking role, and how he seemingly has so little screen time and doesn't actually speak to or really interact with the main six. And while it's true he only has 5 lines in the two-part of the Crystal Empire, I don't really see that as a strike against King Sombra, or being a bad thing in general. Like I said, King Sombra is a very different villain than most of the fans are used to. You know, the classic grandstanding villains that can't help but brag and tell you about all their evil plans, what they're gonna do now, and how they're gonna do it, usually followed by an evil laugh or two. Even King Sombra is a bit of a victim of the whole evil laugh thing. You know, My Little Pony. And then they're usually dispatched by their own stupidity or inattentiveness, in letting the heroes take them down like Discord and Chrysalis. Nightmare Moon, while also being a grandstanding boaster and maniacal laughter type of villain, gets a pass because she actually tried to destroy the one thing that could stop her, foiled only by her lack of understanding of the elements. Speaking of Chrysalis, though, it should be noted that while Chrysalis was revealing herself and all of her plans, Celestia had plenty of time to teleport away and get Princess Luna to help take down the threat. But she faced Chrysalis alone, and with certainty that she could handle the Changeling Queen all by herself, even if she was mistaken. Sombra, however, was a threat that both of them took down together, though it is unknown if they used the elements to defeat him or not, since they never say it, and it certainly didn't look like they used the elements in the flashback, nor did whatever they did coincide with the elements of harmony. I'll cover that one in its own video. What I love, though, is even while Sombra was being defeated and imprisoned, he made sure that Celestia and Luna lost as well. Casting that curse on the Crystal Empire, and making it disappear until he was free to resume his control once more, ensured that everything Celestia and Luna fought for was for nothing. All of those crystal ponies who needed them, needed Celestia and Luna to save them from their horrible fate, all disappeared in the blink of an eye. I can't even imagine how devastating that was to the Royal Sisters. Sombra, as I've said many times, is a very different villain, and a refreshing one. Unlike only hearing about Nightmare Moon's banishment prior to Season 4, we actually see King Sombra being taken down and imprisoned. Unlike only hearing about how awful Discord made life for every pony in the past, we actually see his tyrannical reign and how he turned the crystal ponies into his slaves in a great villain reveal. And what do the main six encounter upon arriving in the frozen north? Almost there! Wow. The moment Sombra encounters the main six, there are no words, no evil laughing, no telling of his plans. He immediately tries to take them all out with a mix of a howl and a growl, like he's more of a rabid beast. And then it's a mad dash to the Crystal Empire, with this massive monster of a villain hot on their heels. When I first watched this scene, it was so far from what we've come to expect from the show that it fooled me into actually thinking Shining Armor just wouldn't come out of the other side after his showdown with Sombra. When Sombra wants something done, he doesn't talk about it, he just takes action. If there's an obstacle in his way, he'll take it out without so much as a word. Another fun note is that Sombra was after Shining Armor that whole sequence, and not the main six. He has no idea who they are, and from what Shining Armor implied, it sounds like he's had a few skirmishes with King Sombra before the group even got there. Enough to make him very afraid of patrolling at night.
There are things out here we really don't want to run into after dark.
The rest of this two-parter revolves around keeping Sombra out of the Crystal Empire, and undoing the damage he did to the Crystal Ponies. Sombra himself, as Megan McCarthy stated, is inspired by Sauron, from Lord of the Rings of course, and meant to be a dark, looming presence that must be stopped at all costs by the heroes. And a lot of Sombra himself is shown, not told, something we don't normally get with our villains, and Sombra himself is shown to be a great planner with many contingencies in place. Most of the obstacles Twilight faces are things Sombra put into play 1,000 years ago to ensure his hold over the Empire. He enslaves a race of ponies whose magic and protective abilities have to do with their emotions, keeping their spirits and morale low. He then takes away their memories somehow, leaving them with only the terrible times they've had under his rule to ensure their powerlessness. He takes the artifact that the Crystal Ponies' magic powers and hides it away, and sabotages the only book with the answers to jogging their memories and potentially stopping him, but taking only a page. This would ensure that whoever attempts to do this will try to put the Crystal Fair together without any knowledge of the Crystal Heart being a real artifact that can stop him, and giving the Crystal Ponies a brief moment of hope makes it all the more crushing when they fail. And how he hides the heart is great too, and shows how much he planned for. For starters, the way to the Crystal Heart is in his throne room itself, and you have to infuse the crystals with dark magic to reveal it, meaning only someone with the knowledge and ability to cast dark magic can get into it, deterring any goody-good heroes in most cases, with their light and love magic. And the next step is a massive flight of stairs into pitch-black darkness. I'm sure people have calculated just how long this staircase is, and I won't even try. But it is a massive waste of time for whoever's sneaking into the palace to steal the Crystal Heart. As if taking away everyone's memories and removing any trace that the Crystal Heart was an actual thing wasn't enough. The next obstacle is even better. An animated door that won't stay still or be opened unless you blast it with dark magic. Dark magic worked before, and King Sombra is a typical looking dark magic user, right? Wrong! Using dark magic on this obstacle will trap you in your worst fear, showing King Sombra planned for dark usurpers to his throne, as well as any goody four-shoes that came along. You need to use the magic of light and love to open this next door, meaning that while Sombra looks like he uses dark magic fueled by fear and hatred, he is also capable of using light magic like Twilight did. And behind that door, bam! Another flight of stairs, even longer than the last, so whoever it is wastes even more time trying to accomplish what is a very time-sensitive operation. And even with all of those in place, Sombra felt it necessary to booby-trap the floor around the heart itself, which sets off an alarm that lets him know immediately and allows him to activate its defenses remotely, no matter the distance. All of that is amazing! We have not seen a villain before or after that has put so much time and care and thought into his plans, with so many backups and contingencies. And Sombra himself wasn't defeated by his own foolishness. It wasn't through bragging about his plans or what he was gonna do or how he'd do it, or talking about how he couldn't be stopped. He was just straight up outplayed with a move he couldn't have possibly planned for. I mean seriously, who expects someone to throw their wife at you? Once Cadance had the Crystal Heart, it was all over for Sombra, having gotten his physical body back just long enough to be gibbed on screen. I mean, geez, if you're careful you can actually see where and when he gets blown to pieces, with Megan McCarthy confirming that Sombra is dead now, though I do imagine he could come back later given his abilities. And while Sombra didn't say much, I honestly didn't expect him to. He doesn't seem or feel like the type of villain to give speeches. He mostly talks to himself, save for addressing the Crystal Ponies to instill some fear for when he returned. claiming the crystal heart as his and then making a beeline for it, and trying to order the crystal ponies to stop one last time in an attempt to lower their spirits. Sombra, in my opinion, spoke when he needed to, acted when he needed to, had a great design, voice when he used it, and provided a constant threat over the two-part that filled me with more dread than any villain I've seen in this show. Season 3 gave us a great villain if only we bother to look deeper. This is the Ponder Pony, saying my piece.